I'm Jayson Jorgensen. It is once again time for a Husker Chat. We're talking Husker football with Sean Callahan of Husker Online as Nebraska looks to bounce back from that disappointing loss at home to Illinois and maybe get back on track on the road at Purdue. Sean, thanks a lot for joining us. It was a spectacle on Friday night. Unfortunately, not a great finish for Nebraska. As you look at that one, boiled it down, what's the biggest bummer for you out of that game?
Just that Nebraska still doesn't know how to finish and win on a stage like that. And it was a stage. Let's not kid ourselves. It was the third most watched college football game of the weekend last weekend. So a lot of people saw it. And Riola played a brilliant first half. They did everything right with him. But the defense just could not find its sea legs when it mattered to get off the field. And then the offense later kind of had some moments where they fell back. And, there were two or three moments in that game that if one of the three happened, Nebraska wins. And I think that's what's probably the most frustrating thing about Friday's loss.
What do you make of them bringing in former Nebraska kicker Brett Maher to kind of help with the kicking woes at this point?
Well, he's been around for the whole season, so it's not like it just happened. I mean, he started coming around in training camp. I think Coach Rule kept it under wraps. I had heard about it a week or two ago that he had been around, and we put something in our article Monday. Then Rule addressed it Monday as well, that he was officially on staff, because we didn't know the parameters, but the rules now allow you to do this. I mean, it's just taking advantage of what you wouldn't have been able to do a year ago or ever before. Before, you could only have your 10 on-field assistants and then graduate assistants that could actually instruct. Now you can have unlimited coaches instruct. So why not do something like this? And I do think you'll see more teams around the country have true kicking experts. I mean, how many kicking coaches can say, wait a minute, let me show you how to kick a 50-yarder and just nail it better than obviously the player could at that point. So it is a luxury to have a guy like Greg, or to have a guy like Brett Maher. I almost said Greg Zerloin because he lives in Lincoln here too.
That, however, though, is a position that's got to be fixed, because you have to figure Nebraska is going to have a number of close games here the rest of this year.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just the kicker. I mean, the hold and the operation has not been great either, and that's as big of a part of making a kick as is the kick. The snap was off, the hold was off, and the kick was off. So the 39-yard field goal that was missed, there was a lot of things that went wrong that led to that result. I mean, the punts have been off for Nebraska with Buschini last week. He line drived a couple. The kickoffs have missed locations. They're supposed to go left or right, and they go center, which leads to a big return with how your coverage units are set up. So there's a lot of operational things with special teams that you would like to believe a veteran like Brian Buschini would be able to get things figured out.
I'll say one thing about Brucini. He's shown us he's a pretty good tackler.
Yeah, when you miss your mark, though, I'm guessing, knowing the butt chewing you're going to receive, you better make that tackle. But yeah, he was able to get in there, and yeah, I think Coach Rule said it best. So, like, we can't kick in the middle of the field. I mean, punts and kicks really shouldn't go to the middle, because then you have the full field to survey. And in a Big Ten football game, that is the difference. A return, a missed kick, a low punt, all those things matter in these games that are going to be very close every week.
Today on Husker Chat, we're talking with Sean Callahan of Husker Online. Some big recruiting news this week, although probably not a surprise, but what's your take on the early verbal from Dayton Riola?
Yeah, you just didn't really know when and how the 2026 quarterback was going to play out. Michael Clayton had been another name that had been here now twice, a 4-star out of Florida, and then Dayton Riola. I mean, those have been the two prominent ones that have been around a lot. And Dayton Riola just took over as the starting quarterback for Buford after his brother left. Has not put up huge stats, but that's the style Dayton. That's the style Buford plays too. They're not really a big stat offense. They're a ball control kind of win the game style of play, and they're 4-1, I believe, right now. So they've had a really good start to the year. But yeah, Dayton, it's not a surprise. I mean, he's following his brother here, his dad here. His uncle's the O-line coach. His sister works in the recruiting office. I think the biggest question now is, where does the quarterback position continue to go? With him involved now, there are 4 scholarship quarterbacks that are technically slotted to be here in 2026. The key word is technically because of the transfer portal and the roster limits. I think there are a lot of unknowns with this quarterback position.
Eventually, what kind of grade or a star rating do you think he gets? His offer sheet not great yet, but is a lot of that due to the fact that schools knew he was probably following his brother to Lincoln?
The reason why he hadn't been really evaluated by us yet is because he hadn't been a starter till this year. He was not a sophomore starter on varsity, so it's kind of hard to fully accurately grade a player. I know our grade on three will be going up as early as here on Wednesday. I would imagine he's going to be a middle level 3-star quarterback. Again, though, I don't know that until they watch, and they're watching all of his game tape right now as we speak at On Three. So they wanted to kind of break down everything we had because there wasn't enough a year ago to really fully evaluate when he wasn't the starting quarterback.
All right, how about this week? Nebraska bounce back mode at Purdue. It has not been a good start to the year for the Boilermakers. How do you see this one, and how does Nebraska kind of avoid a hangover? How do they get back on track and play better?
Yeah, I think it's a good matchup in some respects. Purdue's not a great throwing team. They will try to run it. They've had success running the football with Reggie Love and Devin Mockabee. So I think that's the key right away is Nebraska needs to bow up against the run, have a good week stopping the run, yards after contact, leaky yardage, run fits. It's not that Nebraska's necessarily getting pushed around. I think they're just schematically off or missing tackles or missing run fits. How can they clean up these things that have hurt them on defense? Offensively, Dylan Riola has proven he can get the ball out and get it to people. Just protect him. That's the key this week. And Kydron Jenkins is a great edge rusher for Purdue. They will try to light up Dylan Riola. And what will that offensive line this week look like for the Huskers?
All right, Sean, as always, we appreciate your time and your insights. Have a good trip back east this week.
Thank you, Jayson. Appreciate it.
That was Sean Callahan, the publisher of Husker Online, joining us for Husker Chat. We are here every week. For Husker Chat, I'm Jayson Jorgensen.